Hey guys, welcome to Revved Up with Mike. If you could hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about motovlogging and how inexpensively can you get out of motovlogging. Do you need expensive equipment? Is expensive equipment a gimmick? And what's it going to cost you to get into this stuff? And a lot of these questions are not so easy to answer because that all depends on exactly what you're doing. So I have a whole array of things that I have been using and some things that I've just discovered that might help you out and save you a lot of time. I'm still learning, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of snake oil out there. So let's start with what I believe you need. Now, a lot of people start out with a basic camera, and that's fine. You can get some really decent basic cameras on eBay and Amazon, and I'm going to leave links to this stuff in the description below so you can decide, make a fair judgment for yourself. Now, this is going to be very unbiased and very truthful. This might hurt a lot of people's feelings, but in my experience, this is what I've found. Okay, so this is going to be an utter mess because there's so much involved with motovlogging and taking videos if you're looking for a proper setup. And I'm going to teach you how to set up a helmet that gives you pretty good sound on a budget. All prices will be on the screen and in the links below. They will be Amazon links, just so you know. Helps the channel out. But if you decide to buy, great. If not, fine too. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion on what works or what has worked for me or what hasn't. So this is a Cam Park little action camera, and this is the X40, very inexpensive. It gives mediocre quality. While it is claimed to be a 4K camera, honestly it operates the best at 1080 and it works, but the problem is the battery life on these isn't so hot, and well, I have to use multiple batteries, and this is how I started out. Another thing with these, it's really hard to get good sound, so I would have to record either with my cell phone or another recording device and then go into my editor and line up the sound with this recording. For a lot of you, that just sucks, right? We want one step. We want to push play, record, have that, and be done. So, is this worth it? Well, if you're starting out, it might be worth it. However, you will need some other things to go with this to give you any decent kind of production where people will actually listen to what you're trying to say. So for a lot of people, this is not going to work. But this will work as a good secondary or backup camera in case your main camera battery goes dead or fails. So keep that in mind. So we're going to set this over to the side. So we have that. Another thing you're going to need is a way to mount the camera, such as different various mounts where you want to mount it, and we can go over that later on in this video also, where you're mounting it to your helmet or to your motorcycle. People are very vague about where they mount these, and the truth is there is no safe mounting point. There's always going to be a risk of damaging your camera or your equipment when motovlogging. So keep that in mind. I'll tell you what I find to be the best way to do things. I haven't damaged a camera yet, knock on wood. However, there always is a first time, and I can tell you that I've been in excess of 170 miles an hour with some action cameras doing some very shady stuff. So take that with a grain of salt, but it is the truth. So various types of mounts, and my favorite mounts are these Magic C mounts. They're flexible. They come in like the star pattern. They shape over anything. You can use them on windscreens, underneath windscreens. Now, they're a one-time use. You would have to they're cheap enough, or just buy them. Have it permanently mounted. I actually run one of these on my gas tank to go right through I can get a shot with me with my Insta360 camera. Very important. We'll check that out in a second. And a forward shot and a surroundings. So it's a good main way of putting on a gas tank to get some main shots. Or you can use other various mounts, such as clip mounts, to mount onto your handlebars, which isn't always the case with a sport bike. A lot of us are sport bike riders and not adventure bike riders. Adventure bikes give you tons of options. Sport bikes are limited, so we'll go over those too. So we're going to do a lot of fundamentals here today and what you actually need. So let's start out with a camera, okay? Now, I'm not going to endorse this camera. This is an Insta360. This is a X3. And yes, there's other models that do other things, but however, Insta360 has you over a barrel with their accessories. It seems like every time you buy a camera, the things that people will not tell you because it's almost like a cult-like following, and if you knock it, they get angry with you. However, Insta360 likes to upsell adapters and parts and accessories, so keep that in mind. Usually you get a camera and you got to buy a bunch of stuff. And another thing they don't tell you is processing power. When you're using an X3 camera, it takes an extreme amount of processing power for your computer, your iPhone, your Android, whatever you're using. And a lot of times they just won't handle it. For instance, I have a $4,000 home computer, but yet it does not work seamlessly with the Insta360 software. So I actually do all of my editing on my my Galaxy Z Fold, which processes it better than my expensive computer. It's just the way they did their software. However, the X3 I find to be one of the I don't want to say the best, because DJI makes some good ones too, but it seems to be the one that I've worked with that works, and it's kind of durable. Yeah, I don't care for their software, and it does take a lot of processing power, but this is the one I've used. I do recommend, if you get an Insta360, don't rush out and buy the latest greatest. I mean, they're like $700 for the new ones. There's a huge learning curve. My theory is the cheaper, the better, as long as it's good quality. This records 360 degrees. It is a 4K camera. You can run it in 1080. You can run it in single lens, however you want to do it. It does have a built-in microphone, however, it is horrible sounding. And this is where Insta360 gets you, because you need adapters. So let's go into the adapter. Now, this is the learning curve that took me the longest, because they want you to buy some expensive stuff. Everybody's using Rhodes mics and all that stuff with this stuff, and they hang out the side, a lot of wires, everything else. Now, we're going to have to do something like that. But if you're starting out, you don't, because you can go online and you can buy a cheap microphone like this. This is beat up. I've used this plenty. It's still durable. It still works. And you get this long cable with it. Now, this is good if the camera is mounted either to your helmet, which is the best case scenario. That way you're taking it off and on with the helmet. Or if you feel like plugging it in, you can actually run this on your bike, but you will have a cord. Keep that in mind. Safety first. But that simply plugs into here and it will record. This mic will record with no extra equipment, regardless of what anybody might tell you. It works. This picks it up as an external mic. You can mount this in your helmet, close to your mouth, and it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, just the low speed grunt is pretty cool. My only complaint on the bike is the throttle tube. That's it.
And anything that you don't want in there, you can take out in post, run it through some software like Reaper or what have you, and you can remove a lot of artifacts if you want them gone. Or it's actually pretty good where you can run it just the way it is. You can get them in various lengths. This one's pretty long, so you can mount this on your handlebars, have this in your helmet. But keep in mind, when you take your helmet off, give yourself enough room to take your helmet off, set it down, unplug, do what you got to do. So there's that. I did this for a long time. This was very inexpensive, so this was it. And your mount's the cheapest way you can get out of it. Okay. The next step we're going to talk about is the mic adapter itself. This is an Insta360 mic adapter. It's very small. In pictures, it looks a lot bigger. It's very light, and you pull your little door off here. This plugs into the side of your camera like so, and kind of connects in there like so, and that is it. Yeah, it looks a little bit bulky. These cameras aren't light, by the way, so I want you to keep that in mind, especially when we start running our extension poles. They're not light. Now, this is my setup. I found out this to be the cheapest and best way of doing it. I'll give you some examples here and some clips. Not the best ones. I'll give you my worst ones to show you how this stuff works, so you have a real idea of how it's going to work for you. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to make it sound better too. So this right here, this is going to be your hardest part, because people get this adapter and they're like, well, what do I do? What am I going to run for a microphone? I need a wireless system. So that's what this does. This converts this so you can run a wireless mic. And I searched and searched and searched, scoured Amazon. I wasn't going to pay the price for the Rhodes microphone, those high-end setups. I just wasn't going to do it. So I come across this Movo wireless system. This is a 2.4 gigahertz wireless microphone system. And I experimented. Now, this is the single mic version. And you can get these where they have 2 mics in a box. That will be my next one. But I wanted to find out if this worked first, because if it didn't work, what's the point? And once again, price and link below. It works, but there's some things you got to look out for. So what you get is you have to make sure that you get a style that is this plug style right here, and this is going to simply fit kind of here. I mean, you can do it anyway, but it's going to fit here, okay? And this is your charging for this. So this is, you charge it with your same USB-C that you charge. You know, there's your charging blocks. Get a few blocks because you're going to need them to keep all this stuff charged and ready to go when you take off. So this is your wireless system. Believe it or not, this sits in the stitch line. You will not see this with a 360 camera, which is really cool. And what we have over here is the mic itself. Now, let me show you what I've done here, because this is a little different. So this is where we have to start using some ingenuity. So this will mount on your action cam mount. So this will mount to your pole or to your wherever you want on your motorcycle. This is a carbon fiber Insta360 pole. I don't recommend it. I've had this one break and I had to fix it on the bottom already. Still use it for short links, but I don't extend this out. This is the Insta360 motorcycle mount. Honestly, it's nothing fantastic. They rave about these things, but it really isn't that great. And honestly, it's getting a little flimsy, but it'll work for you. So all this stuff is separate, but you're going to need some kind of clip. And let me show you this here. So this one right here, if I'm all over the place, I apologize, but I want to keep this real for you. So this can mount on your handlebars, and we'll go over to the motorcycle in a second and show you some places to mount this. This can mount on your frame in different areas, but be advised, these will scratch your motorcycle. No matter how much padding they put in here, they do dig in, and that's because you got to clamp them so tight to keep them from holding, because once you put this weight out there, it bounces and goes down. So keep that in mind also. So we simply mount that here on the pole. So you find your mounting point. Now, what you're going to do, and this is what you've all been waiting for, the helmet setup, right? We need a good helmet setup. This was my dedicated helmet that I used for a lot of motovlogging. It's beat up, but as you can see, I have the mount right here that I mounted my camera to. So pretty much it was either mounted like this. You can mount it down like this, which doesn't always work on a sport bike, or you can get a mount that mounts it over to the side. Probably the best recommendation for a helmet like this. And this particular helmet has Bluetooth function built into it, okay, that you theoretically should be able to use to go to the Insta360. However, the Insta360s on the X3s never offered any Bluetooth link for a helmet. For the life of me, I never understood it, why an action camera can't offer a Bluetooth link to another Bluetooth device. It is insane. And this is a Cena unit in this helmet. Very high-end unit. You'd think it would. Apparently the new Insta360s do, but you're paying a premium. You're paying $700 for a camera. And is it worth it? And is it guaranteed to work with your Bluetooth? Well, they have a list of compatible ones, but there always seems to be some kind of conflict. So keep that in mind. So, however, this is my new helmet, and this is a Shark. It's a very expensive helmet. It's a $1,600 MotoGP helmet. However, the reason I purchased this helmet is because it's quiet. No, you don't need a helmet like this to do it. But what you want to do is find a helmet that is quiet inside. That's the goal, to find a helmet that's quiet inside, because what your ears are going to hear is what your microphone's going to try to pick up on. Now, how do you set your helmet up? Now, this is the hard part. This is the ingenuity, okay? So what I have done with this helmet, and so I'm going to set up this with you right now. So I'm going to pull this stuff out right here. You're going to go, what did he do? Well, there's a reason to my madness, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to mount your camera. This is just your receiver wherever you need it. If you want to, like we talked about, mounting on a helmet, if you want to mount this on your helmet or on the front, whatever you do, that's up to you how you do it. They actually have devices that strap around the front of your helmet. You can mount these on however you want to do it. How you mount your camera on your helmet is up to you. I like to make a permanent mount like this on my helmet. I haven't done that with this one yet, and I like to have mounts around the motorcycle in different areas that I can experiment with and move things to. So that's just a common sense thing. However, we need good sound in this helmet, and that's where it gets difficult. People spend a lot of money on high-end microphones. So this little Movo unit doesn't come with a dead cat. You'll have to purchase these dead cats separately, package of 4. I'm still on my first one, okay? So you have to purchase those separately. This is what links to this here. This is your wireless lavalier microphone, and I'm going to tell you it does a really good job. However, you have to be careful because that power button is very sensitive, and once it's on, if you tap it once, it'll mute it, and if you hold it, it shuts it off. So I'm going to show you right here, and the red light's under here. We'll turn this, push this button here, and as you can see, it's flashing because it's not linked. And then we'll start this other one, push this here, and this is how simple it is. And as you can see, now they are both blue and they are linked. So before we get started, what we want to do is, I already have this ready. I take a piece of electrical tape, just a nice piece of electrical tape, and I mount it kind of to that receiver of the Insta360. And what this does right here is just holds it in the stitch line itself. And then what you can do is you can actually take a rubber band, a thin rubber band, and wrap that around here also from your camera underneath your lens, and it just holds everything in place. Even in high wind, this won't move around on you, and you don't get anything in your stitch line. So let me shut these off so we don't waste our battery. So this does your recording. This is your recording from here to here. No wires, no fuss, no muss. Very inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. It's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache, okay? So what I do is I got myself this paper clip. This is a paper clip. So this padding right in here is thick enough, and this is thick enough where this will sit right in here. This is going to act as a clip for this microphone. Now you want to put the power side of this to the outside so you're not accidentally hitting it with your face or anything else when you put the helmet on. So once you put this in, you can leave this in permanently and still charge it in the position that it's in. So what I do is, rubber bands are your friend. I take a pretty heavy duty rubber band here, small one, and I wrap this around here to clip it there permanently, just like that. You don't need to go overboard. Just that one rubber band works fine right here. And then what I do is I take this clip and I shove this in between my some of these snap where you might be able to get away with snapping it around here, but I don't do it. I find that it holds fine. It isn't going to blow away on you. And I just kind of put that right in there like this. And as you can see, it might not be pretty, but it works really, really good. And we have a dead cat on here. And then we have this. So this is over to the side of your mouth, not up on your mouth, which you don't want. You don't want it on your mouth or your nose because you're going to capture all that breathing. It's going to make it sound like you're having a heart attack or hyperventilating or having an asthma attack. Just nature of these. So you make sure your dead cat is over the end of it, because that dead cat is crucial to cutting down the wind noise and taking the hissing out even in your voice. So I put the dead cat, make sure it's over the mic just like that. You see that? So that is permanently in there, and we still have room to plug this in. So you simply sit your helmet next to your plug. Take your plug, plug it in. You can charge it. You never have to mess with this unless you want to. Very, very simple. But there is also another problem, because we have a shield. When the shield is down, you're going to change your tone, because remember, when you ever talk inside of a helmet, what you hear is what the mic hears. So this is where a quiet helmet comes in pretty good. On your Insta360, you want to set your setting on your Insta360 to 0. External mic, and set it to 0. Seems to be a perfect level. If it is too high, just turn it down 1. I think that's -6. Works good. You're never going to want it up on 1 or anything like that. It's just going to break up on you. So there's that. So then what we do is we grab ourselves a piece of thick paper or card stock, and what we do is we make ourselves a little windbreak for the front of this so we can talk with the shield open and not get too much air. So this is really crude, a very crude method, but it works. So this one's already made. But I take this and I put this on the outside, and what I do is it blocks, I shove it in there, and this blocks the microphone, okay? Right where the microphone would get the wind, right here. And I just use some, once again, some electrical tape to hold that. It doesn't have to be pretty, and nothing's in your field of view. You don't notice this with the eyes. Nothing's tickling your face. The dead cat's not tickling your face. Nothing. So there's how that looks right there. And it works perfectly, and it's all stable. It's not blowing out on you. Everything is perfect. So then when you get ready to rock and roll, you start up your Insta360. It's already in external camera mode. Set your mode to however you want to record. Hit your power button here. Hit your power button on the outside here, because I cut this out where it's easy to hit. You just tap it, boom. Hit your record button on your Insta360. You're ready to rock and roll. Just remember to shut everything off when you're done, and when you're done, charge everything back up. It's pretty simple. Now, that being said, battery life on the Insta360 is not too great. And I suggest picking up 1 or 2 batteries. I have a few around the house. I got some aftermarket ones. They seem to work better than the original ones and longer. So I use those. And I got myself a little multi-charger. Once again, I'm going to keep you guys in the loop and links below. If you want this stuff, fine. If not, I mean, you can charge. Most of the time I charge the main battery right through the Insta360. But people will say, well, but the port's plugged. Well, that's okay, because this unit right down here below this on the adapter itself has a charging unit that goes to the camera, so you can simply plug it right in right there. It's the exact same thing. Now let's talk about some other things that you can get with your camera. So a lot of us are recording and we're like, well, we don't want to stop and we don't want to shut the camera off while we're moving. You gotta pull over, hit the button, and these buttons aren't the easiest to push. I think Insta360 sucks as far as their buttons go. You gotta be very firm, very positive with them. However, when you do that, you're moving your camera around, so it's ridiculous. But I got the Insta360 little remote. They're pretty inexpensive. A lot of the Insta360, like this stuff, is inexpensive, but once you link this will give you GPS to your camera also, so you can keep track of your speed, your altitude, a map even on it if you want to. Very cool options that you can use if your software will let you do it. Meaning if your hardware on your computer is fast enough to keep up with this stuff. But this will give you GPS. It's pretty accurate, but it does take a second. It's not quick to respond. For instance, if I'm doing going to 100 miles an hour on the motorcycle, this does not respond as fast as the speedometer does, of course. But if you hit it and you hold it, it will register it. This also packs a G meter, which is really, really cool. I use this in a lot of my Hayabusa videos to show that the Hayabusa packed well over a G under acceleration. So that is a pretty cool feature of this. It's inexpensive. Battery goes dead very quickly on it, unfortunately. Another quirk. And when you're hooked up to your camera with this is wireless. So when you're hooked up to your camera with this, which I wear on my wrist because it's easier to tap, another very positive push. So it's not like an easy tap. You have to push it hard. This stops it and starts the recording, which is really cool. So if you want to stop the recording, boom, you can hit that. You want to start it, boom, you can hit that, and it tells you the display and tells you battery life and what's left on the camera on this display also. So very cool things to have, things that I recommend. Now let's get to the motorcycle itself and what we need to set this up on the bike. Stay right there. All right, let's go over to the motorcycle itself. This is my Aprilia RSV 1000R factory, and this has the race kit on it. Very cool bike, and as you can see, I got it on my bike lift right now, but this is my main mount on my gas tank. So what I simply do is I take my Insta360 camera and I mount it here. Now, I don't care what direction you mount this either. I mean, I've used both directions, this facing forward or the other facing forward. This is primarily where you want it. But with a 360 camera, it can go up and look at my head or in front of the bike or to the side, which is pretty cool. But that's just a boring view, right? This is for general motovlogging, which works out cool, or on your helmet. This is probably the best too. Now, a lot of people like to mount to their handlebars. It's a little harder on a sport bike. Let me drop this bike down and I'll show you why. Okay, so there's places we can mount around this motorcycle, but the handlebars really aren't one of them. And as you can see, there's a reason why. Now, a lot of people will mount their clip right here on the end of the handlebar. Man, that's just too dangerous for me. So what they will actually do is take this mount and mount this right here, which will give you good shots because you can run your selfie stick off of this and out to the side like so, and you can get a good view coming back, which might be cool for low speed shots, but you can't do any speed because you have to worry about this unwinding on you. How secure is it? And you'll dig up your bar end, and who wants to take their expensive motorcycle and dig up the bar end? But it is an option if you want to. Now, another option is to put it on here, and you can have it facing towards you or looking towards the front. That's a little bit better with the camera just mounted on here because it's a little lighter and you don't have that force sticking out. However, the problem is with any motorcycles, anytime you mount one of these, you are risking damaging whatever you're mounting it to. So that's the nature of the beast. I can't help you there. So there's mounting point number 1. And yes, you could put some stuff on there to protect it even more, but the more stuff you have on there, the less that it wants to grip. Another thing you can do is if you can find a crash mount here, or even up here if you want to mount one that's small enough, you could mount them on that also. But keep in mind, things might impede with your riding position or where your controls are. Here's another cool trick that I learned, especially on these bikes. These kickstands are very heavy duty. It takes a lot to pull them down. You can mount these on your kickstand right here, and I've actually ran this and then ran the pole out the back. Let me show you that real quick. You're going to want this tool that comes with the mount, so you can rotate this in pretty much any direction, like so. And what I do is I mount that on here. We open it up, and I'm going to do this quickly, okay? We lock it down, and then you tighten this, and then you can find your angle that you want here. Now check this out. This is what's cool about mounting it in a position like this. You can bring this out here. See this? Past your wheel. You can get a really cool, especially with the other mount. And I can lock this down. Okay. And you can get some really cool shots of the motorcycle using it like this. But the best part is, you're not stuck in that position. You can move this around here, like so. You see this? We can come up higher. We can move this around on the kickstand. You come up on top of your exhaust. You can come up on top of your exhaust and up this way. There's all kinds of options. You can even mount this way out away from the bike to get a nice side shot all the way around. Just keep in mind you have to stop the bike, so make sure you can put your feet down. Very important. But a lot of different areas you can mount that. So I'll give you another mounting point here. Or if you want a cool shot, you can simply take this stick off and just mount the camera directly for some ground shots or what have you. On this Aprilia, certain times you can find certain places on the frame. Here's a nice square lock point on the frame. Again, lots of different points. What's nice about certain points is you can use zip ties. Zip ties are very important to have because you can use zip ties and zip tie this in another steady spot to give you even more stability if you're going to be doing any high-speed runs. Many times I've had this mounted like this and out the back. Like I said, top speed runs on a track, what have you, you can do this. And I've done this with a lot of different motorcycles. So keep that in mind. It's finding the areas that you normally wouldn't think about. A lot of people will do it on their spools in the back. These spools are too small. Some people have mounts on their swing arms. And believe it or not, Ducati is one of the hardest ones to mount to because you don't want to scratch up your Ducati frames, right? So their frames, while they are tubular and give you mounting options, they are, well, they're delicate. They scratch easily. So that's another cool option though. So you got your frame here, kickstand, something people don't think about. Now they make mounts that come off of here, which you got to be careful of because of lean angle, stuff like that. So just be careful and mindful. If you're going knee down in curves, you got to be careful with all of this stuff, but it will give you some really cool shots. Now, one of the coolest shots, and I don't have my bar here that does it, it's a different bar, but I'm going to give you an idea. One of my coolest shots that I've done, it's just not here right now, is I have a special bar. This is not the bar. This is my bar for raising the front end. But I have a bar that goes through here and it's threaded on each end, and it goes through my fork like so, meets the other side, and I put a kind of a nut on one side and this on the other. And what I can do, which is really, really cool, and these are some of the best shots that I've done. I don't have an example to show you, but is that it will mount and you'll have it threaded. So use some ingenuity. You'll have it threaded. I'm sure a lot of you get where I'm going with this. You'll have it threaded. Make sure it's tight because you can't have anything moving into your front wheel. But this gives you this opportunity to get this amazing, amazing front shot of the motorcycle that you would never ever get. I mean, that thing goes way out there that you could never reach before. You just need to have the right size pole to go through that is threaded with a nut where it's secure and not going to move. Now, this can be tied up next to this. This isn't going to interfere with nothing. And what's nice about this is you can actually support this again with some and once again, you can actually support this here with some zip ties for a little extra reassurance. But the shots that this will give you is outstanding, and this is just some ideas. Now, safety first. You always want to make sure your bike can do this, but the shots, you can see, right? Look at the angles that you have that you can go off of the front wheel. This gives the best front shot. You can bring this up like so and give you just amazing shots, but you'll have to adapt a pipe over to do that. But just a thought, food for thought. I have done it. It's amazing. I don't have an example right now that's left, but you get the picture, right? So, piece of steel, make sure it's threaded on each end with a nut on each end where it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to tighten it up. Be careful. You don't want to gouge up anything like that. And I don't think you should do any of this for high-speed runs, but just for some footage, it's really unique, and I don't think anybody's thought of that. Biggest expense is the camera and the mic adapter. I'm just giving you guys the cheapest way of doing this where it sounds good. And this is the thing. The sound on this sounds damn good. For what you're paying for this stuff, damn good. So, remember, you got to have a helmet that's semi-quiet. Do you have to pay a fortune? No. My Icon helmet over here works just as good as this very expensive Shark helmet. And this is interchangeable. I can take this out. I can pop it in that helmet if I want to. And that's kind of how I base it when I pick out a helmet. Okay, I can pop this over. Really simple to do. Now let's talk about some supplemental shots, because it's not just about riding now, is it? It's getting those shots around the bike when you're off the bike. So this is a little gimbal that I picked up. And this is by, let's see if I got this here. This is called an X3. Called a Steady X3. It has a little tripod by Hohem, I think it's by. It's got a little stabilizer here, but this has a little remote you can use with it. Comes off. Really cool shots. Very inexpensive. The only downside to this, if you have a thicker phone, it doesn't like to hold on to it, but you lock this in, and then you got a gimbal, and you can go around the motorcycle and capture some really fluid shots if you're reviewing a motorcycle or what have you. This will also zoom in and out your camera, and works so that your cell phone goes in this one, and zooms in and out the camera. There's an app that links to your camera so you can get all those cool shots and zoom effects and everything else. It's really cool. Everything's a touch of a button. Or you can set this up on the tripod, and you can take this, and it's got a little joystick on it, and this is a cool purchase right here. And you can move this gimbal around to capture shots with you not in it. Very cool. My next one is super cool. I don't use it a lot. I don't know why I should, but it's really, really cool. So, we've covered the motorcycle, we've covered the mounts, we've covered everything you need. And by the way, one thing I didn't cover is make sure you get some lens guards. Trust me, it's cheaper than buying a new camera. So get some lens guards and keep them protected. They're inexpensive, and you can reuse them. So there's that. All right, let's go to this. What's in this one? What's in the orange thing, Mike? Well, this is my little drone. This is a DJI drone, and this is probably one of my most fun purchases that I've used for so much. It's never let me down, and I use it for far more than motorcycle stuff. This is the Neo. Very, very inexpensive drone in itself. And this is good for capturing. And you don't need, we'll put the salt stuff all the way. You don't need anything more than this drone and the battery that comes with it. You simply, let's see if we can do this here. I'm gonna pop this in right now. Let's see what happens here. Take this off. And if I can remember it, I haven't used this in so long. Okay. We'll start this drone. Check this out. Ready? So, I think this is going to work. So I just want this to go kind of... I don't want droney.
Circle.
Don't want a circle.
Rocket. Spotlight. Boomerang. Follow.
So this is a follow mode, and let's see if this is going to work out. So this will follow you. So if you're walking around the motorcycle, this will follow you and get you cool shots. It does a thing of droney. It goes around and get shots of the motorcycle. Then when you add this kind of expensive remote, it really opens up the possibilities. But let's see if this works in this space.
Droney. Circle. Rocket. Spotlight. Boomerang. Follow. Close. Follow. 3, 2, 1.
There you go. So this is now going to follow me. Let me show you. Is the coolest. And record me. 4K footage. Amazing. So watch this. Now you see me? You see the motorcycle, but it's not going to hit me. How amazing is that? You see that? So this is how you stop it. Watch this. Very cool. So this gives you a lot of different variables for shooting, just for some extra footage to add some depth to your photography. They're pretty inexpensive. I suggest picking up a few batteries. I'm gonna shut this down here. There we go. And a case for it. So I'm not going to get into what you can do with this, but you can fly quite a ways with this. This runs off a GPS. Very, very cool. But you pick yourself up these little battery packs, a couple batteries, and this will charge both batteries at the same time. And there we go, like that. See that? And this stores up power, so this will charge while not even being plugged into the wall. How cool is that? So that's pretty cool. So I keep those handy like that. That just stores in there. This doesn't come with a case. Case is extra. All the links are going to be there. But this is one of the coolest things, and you can use it for so many things. For instance, I had to check out my roof. I thought my roof was damaged, and this did it. I can get up there. A lot of people use these for home inspections, and you don't need a license to fly a drone this small, which is also pretty cool. Remember, take off your lens cover here, but super, super cool. Hardly ever use it. I'll have to use that some more. But just a fun thing. Yeah, you can go all out. You can get your expensive remote. That thing's amazing. Then you'll fly by sight with your cell phone. Very, very cool.
Okay, so here's a quick example of the sound, and it's going to storm, so quick example. We're just going to go around the block. This is really heavy wind, as you can see in front of me, and this timing couldn't have been better. We're about to get a big storm. Shield is open, so to give you guys a scenario of how bad this will be. There we go. There we go. Ooh, that wind must have blown me right over. Come on. Go a little slower, Grandma. There we go. There we go. And now shield down. And I figure this will be the best example to show. Couldn't time it better. Couldn't time it better, right? People are wondering what I'm doing, but there you go. One microphone and a thunderstorm about to happen, high wind. There we go, guys. So that was a perfect little scenario.
So, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I think this stuff is valuable tools altogether, and it's inexpensive. You're not buying the best of everything. Everything that I'm showing you is the lowest range, like in the market, of what you can do to piece together some decent footage and keep it as simple as possible. If you're starting out and you want to go with this wired mic, that's fine. I get it. Link will be below to this. It works. Becomes a hindrance later on. It's worth it. Get the mic adapter. And the best product that I got was this Movo. Looking back, I should have got the 2 microphone version because I can, well, mic myself and the exhaust of the motorcycle at the same time and blend them two together in post, which is pretty cool. So keep that in mind. All right, links for everything in the description below. Let me know what you think. Do you have any ideas, any thoughts? What's your favorite setup? Expensive? Cheap? Hey, you just might be surprised with the cheap stuff. Thanks for watching Revved Up with Mike. If you could hit that like button, share, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with some pretty cool videos. Thanks.